Two buyers walked into the same dealership on the same day. Same budget, same retirement plan, same dream. One left with a Ford Transit conversion, one left with a Mercedes Sprinter. 3 years later, one of them will tell you they made the best decision of their retirement. The other will tell you they'd do it very, very differently. The question is, which one is which? That's what this video is actually about. Not specs, not brochure comparisons, not which van has the fancier name on the badge. The real question, the one that can quietly cost buyers tens of thousands of dollars to get wrong, is which of these platforms actually fits your life, your budget, and the way you plan to travel. By the end of this video, you are going to know exactly where each of these vans wins, where each one quietly fails, and most importantly, which type of buyer should walk away from one of them entirely. That last part is the one dealers won't volunteer, so let's get into it. What you're actually buying. Before we compare them, you need to understand what you're actually buying when you choose either of these vans, because both the Ford Transit and the Mercedes Sprinter are sold as the foundation of a campervan conversion. The living quarters sitting on top of that foundation might be beautiful, the craftsmanship might be impeccable, but the foundation underneath it all determines your repair costs, your peace of mind on the road, and ultimately the resale value of everything you spent your retirement savings building. So when we compare these two, we're not comparing which van looks better in a campsite photo. We're comparing which platform will cost you more over 5 years of ownership, which one will strand you in a rural area when the nearest dealer is 200 miles away, and which one actually delivers on the premium you're paying for it, or doesn't. The Ford Transit, the case for it. Let's start with the Ford Transit, because for most buyers in the United States, this is where the conversation begins. The Transit has become one of the most widely used campervan conversion bases in the American market, and that's not an accident. The platform has been refined over multiple generations, and the parts and service network in the United States is extensive. Not just extensive, genuinely widespread. You can find a Ford dealer in virtually every mid-size American city. You can find Transit parts at most auto parts stores. When something breaks, and eventually something always breaks, you are not helpless. That matters more than most buyers realize when they're standing in a showroom looking at a beautiful interior. Here is the part that first-time buyers consistently underestimate. A campervan is not a vacation vehicle you use twice a year. The buyers who get this right are the ones treating it like a second home on wheels. Homes require maintenance. Homes develop problems. And when your home is also a vehicle traveling through remote areas of Utah, Montana, or the Florida coast, the ability to get it fixed quickly and affordably is not a luxury. It's a survival requirement. The Transit's repair ecosystem is its single biggest competitive advantage over the Sprinter, and it shows in ownership costs in ways that don't appear on any sticker price. Now, the Mercedes Sprinter. If the Transit is the practical choice, the Sprinter is what buyers reach for when they believe they deserve the best. And to be clear, there are genuine reasons the Sprinter commands the premium it does. The platform is taller, it drives more like a road vehicle and less like a commercial van. The diesel engine, when maintained correctly, delivers efficiency numbers that Transit gas engine owners will notice at the pump over a long trip. For full-time travelers putting 20,000 or 30,000 miles per year on the odometer, that gap in fuel economy becomes real money. The Sprinter's high-roof version also gives interior designers more vertical space to work with, which translates to more livable conversions for taller buyers or for anyone who wants to move around inside the van without constantly adjusting their posture. These are real advantages. They're not marketing language. Owners who log serious miles in a Sprinter with a quality conversion will tell you it earns its premium on long days on the road. But here is where the conversation shifts, and this is the point where I need you to pay close attention, because this is the part that has cost the most buyers the most money. Servicing a Sprinter in the United States can be more complicated than servicing a Transit, not because independent shops can't work on them. Some can, and quality Sprinter specialists do exist. The complication is that the Sprinter's electronics and diesel systems often require specific diagnostic tools and technician familiarity that not every shop carries. So depending on where you travel, your service options can narrow considerably compared to what you'd have with a Transit. When your Transit needs attention in a small town in rural Nevada, you have options: a Ford dealer, a general mechanic, a parts store down the road. When your Sprinter throws a fault code in that same town, the nearest shop with the right equipment and experience might be several hours away. That's not a hypothetical scenario. It's one that Sprinter owners document regularly in ownership communities across the country. Owners who have logged serious miles on Sprinters report that routine service events, injector work, EGR valve issues, DEF system problems on the diesel carry both the part cost and the specialized labor rate of a platform that requires more of the technician. These aren't catastrophic repairs, they're ordinary maintenance events on a high-mileage diesel van, but they don't feel ordinary when you're waiting for a tow and your travel window is closing. This is not a reason to automatically avoid the Sprinter. It is a reason to go in with accurate expectations about what you're buying. The buyers who end up most satisfied with a Sprinter are almost always the ones who budgeted correctly for ownership before they signed, and who identified a reliable service option before they needed one, not after. Let me make this real. A couple in their early 60s, experienced travelers, well-researched buyers, purchased a used Sprinter conversion. Quality builder, attractive interior, the price was high, but they felt it was justified. They'd done their homework on the van itself. What they hadn't fully mapped out was the service landscape for where they planned to travel. 14 months into ownership, they were on an extended trip through the Southwest. A warning light appeared on the dash. Nothing dramatic, but the Sprinter system flagged it as requiring diagnostic attention before continuing. The nearest Ford dealer was 11 miles away. The nearest shop with Sprinter diagnostic capability was 190 miles away. They spent 2 days waiting. Not because the problem was severe, because the ecosystem around the vehicle wasn't what the ecosystem around a Transit would have been in that same location. They got back on the road, they still own the van, but when they talk about that trip, the story they tell first is not about the scenery. That's the kind of detail that doesn't appear in a dealer conversation. It only appears in ownership.
Which one actually wins and why it depends on you? So which one actually wins? The honest answer is, it depends on one thing more than anything else: how you plan to travel. If you are a couple planning moderate trips, summers in the mountains, winters near the coast, 3 or 4 months of active travel per year, and you want a high-quality camper van without taking on the service complexity of a platform that requires more specialist access, the Ford Transit is the more rational choice. The service network is there, the resale market is strong, the total cost of ownership over 5 years is more predictable, and the quality of conversions being built on the Transit platform right now from companies like Winnebago, Airstream, and independent converters has closed the gap with Sprinter-based builds in ways that weren't true 5 years ago. If, on the other hand, you are a serious full-time traveler, you are putting significant annual mileage on the van, you are prioritizing fuel efficiency and driving dynamics on long highway runs, and, critically, you are willing to do the work of identifying a reliable Sprinter specialist before you need one, the Sprinter's advantages become real, not theoretical, real. The diesel efficiency gap matters when you're driving 25,000 miles a year. The driving dynamics matter when you're behind the wheel for 8 hours. The interior height matters when you're living in the van full-time, not visiting it on weekends. But here is the counterintuitive truth that most buyers don't hear until after they've signed. The premium you pay for a Sprinter-based conversion is not just in the purchase price, it's in every service interval for the next 10 years. And if you buy a used Sprinter conversion, which many buyers do because the new pricing can exceed $180,000 for a quality build, you are also inheriting whatever the previous owner chose not to fix before the sale. With a Sprinter's more demanding service requirements, the risk of a neglected maintenance history is real. Proper Sprinter maintenance is more expensive and requires more effort to execute correctly, which means the temptation to defer it is stronger for owners who are watching their costs. Spend enough time in Sprinter owner communities and you'll find repeated accounts of buyers discovering deferred maintenance after purchasing used conversions, not because they were careless buyers, because the signs can be subtle, and because a van that presents beautifully inside can be carrying a mechanical story that hasn't been told yet. The practical implication of this is simple. If you were buying a used Sprinter conversion, budget for a pre-purchase inspection by a certified Sprinter specialist regardless of what the seller tells you. Not an optional step, a required one. Now let's talk about the one variable that will matter most to a significant portion of you watching this: resale value. Both the Ford Transit and the Mercedes Sprinter have established resale markets. The Transit's resale market tends to be broader, more buyers, more geographic spread, more price competition when you're ready to exit. The Sprinter's buyer pool for a used conversion, particularly a high-mileage one, is more concentrated. Buyers who understand Sprinter ownership will factor the service complexity into what they're willing to pay. There's also an important nuance here that most comparison videos skip entirely. On a high-quality conversion, the build itself, the cabinetry, the electrical system, the layout, can drive more of the resale outcome than the chassis underneath it. A premium Transit conversion from a respected builder can hold its value extremely well. A poorly executed Sprinter conversion can lose value faster than buyers expect. The chassis matters, but it doesn't determine everything. For a buyer who plans to own for a decade, the resale picture matters less. For a buyer who realistically expects to upgrade or exit within 5 years, which is a larger percentage of first-time buyers than the industry will admit, understanding the Transit's broader liquidity is worth factoring into the decision from the start. The verdict. Here is where I'll give you the verdict that most comparison videos won't. If you are buying your first campervan, you are spending retirement savings, you travel seasonally rather than full-time, and you want a premium lifestyle vehicle that is also a practical one, the Ford Transit is the more forgiving platform for the American buyer. You will not feel like you settled. You will feel like you made a smart decision every time something needs attention and the solution is nearby rather than a long wait for a specialty appointment. If you are a full-time traveler who logs serious miles, who has done the research on Sprinter ownership, who has identified a reliable service option before you need one, and who has budgeted honestly for what ownership actually costs, not what the brochure implies it costs, the Sprinter can genuinely earn its place in your life. It is a different kind of machine, and it rewards a different kind of owner. The mistake, the expensive one, is buying a Sprinter because of how it feels in a showroom without honestly accounting for how it will feel at mile 50,000 when it needs something that your nearest town cannot provide. The decision clarity you came here for comes down to this: know your travel style, know your service reality, know your total budget, not just your purchase budget, and let that knowledge make the decision rather than the badge on the front of the van. Before you go, if you already own either one of these vans, I want to hear from you. What did the dealer not prepare you for before you drove it off the lot? Leave that in the comments, because the answers you leave are exactly what the next buyer needs to read before they sign.